Good morning, you guys. Good morning. Hope you're feeling well today and are ready for a nice ride. We have some beautiful yoga style music playing here. Olga, good morning to you. I love it when you send those little chat messages there. So let's gather ourselves together a little bit now. Just find your lightest possible resistance on your bike. And we'll just pedal slowly and lightly like we're in a parking lot, just making beautiful circles around the parking lot. Taking a couple of nice deep breaths, always with a relaxed belly. And you'll notice I often will just put my hand on my belly so I can really feel the expansion and contraction of the diaphragm, which sits right here, right there. It's kind of like this dome. It's a muscle and it needs to expand to pull the air in and then contract to press the air out. The thoracic cavity there. And let's check in with our body position on the bike, shall we? So I always start with my hands, and I just make sure that my hands are resting lightly on the handlebars. And I wiggle my fingers a little bit, which ensures that I'm not grasping the handlebar. And then I make sure my elbows are slightly bent. And then I check to make sure my shoulders are away from the ears. And you remember I call that the upper triangle. Spine from the hip bones up to the neck, and then the shoulders down to the arms. We want relaxation and unstressful positioning of that part of our bodies when we're pedaling. So it's useful to pay attention to that all throughout class. And we can just pedal easily here as we let the legs warm up. You can add a tiny bit of resistance if you feel like it. But just keep your leg speed nice and slow and really let your weight settle into the saddle. And try to keep the hands light on the bars. Now we're coming up to the end of this song. Yesterday, when it switched to the next song, something went haywire. So if it does happen again, I'll just restart, okay? So don't go anywhere. I'll just restart. I don't know why it did. But as we know, technology sometimes it's hard to understand. All right, we're all in a nice position on the bike. Are we feeling like we've brought our minds into the moment? We're present. Feeling like we're ready to really use our bodies well today. With intention and focus and gratitude that they can do this exercise and that we can do it together. I think that's super important. Here's our critical moment. We made it. We made it to our next song. Critical moment. So just using your light resistance that you have right now. Let's just feel for a rhythm a little bit, keeping your light resistance. I like to close my eyes to feel for that rhythm. If you have your computer on at home, this should be about 75. My bike computer, about 75 RPM. But this practice of aligning to the rhythm is super important. Just as important as getting our heart rate up, just as important as getting the muscles working. This is a mind-body practice, yes. All right, let's start to bring in some resistance as we hold this rhythm. Feeling for that beat, but now noticing the muscles are working a little bit harder. This is good. Heart rate starts to come up a little bit. Breathing starts to pick up. Take a deep breath and exhale. Now let's go ahead and add in a little bit more resistance, and I want this to start to get into the challenging area where it feels a little uncomfortable as we stay with this rhythm. It's just looking outside, the sun is starting to come out. Wow. At least right here, there's a big patch of sun that just came out. So I noticed my breath picking up. And if you can now, let's just add a little bit more. So we're into quite challenging right now. But we're only going to stay here about 30 seconds. And this is a perfect opportunity now to notice where in the muscles of your legs you feel this work. And I want you to always keep in mind that the pedal stroke is a circle. It's not stomping down. It's stitching together that circle. So notice the calves and the hamstrings as they pull you through. Notice the glutes as they push you over the top. The thing I notice least are the quads usually. Okay, let's reduce the resistance a little bit. Staying at the rhythm, breathing deeply. And now, accelerate your legs up into the 90s, keeping the same resistance, keeping the hips steady, keeping the upper body calm, just breathing. And now slow your legs down. Bring your resistance back down to its lightest. And notice how your breath is now. It's a little more rapid than before, isn't it? So this rhythm here is about 63, 64 RPM. So let's align to it before we add any resistance. Take 20 seconds, not 10. 10 seconds, close your eyes, just feel it. Okay, you got it? Now, add resistance so it feels like we've entered a moderate hill. Immediately we feel the glutes kick in. Immediately we feel that torque through the hips. That hip drive is so often overlooked in spin class. But as a cyclist who spent many years riding outdoors and climbing many hills and pedaling hard along many flat roads, I know that is an essential part of the pedal stroke. So I'm getting out of breath. You can hear that probably. So I'm in a hill. You see where my hands are? And the reason I always put my hands closer together is because it makes my back a little straighter, takes the pressure off my belly, and gives my lower back and hips more opportunity to drive. And you can prove that to yourself by leaning over onto the handlebars with heavy resistance and noticing how your hips just come out of the equation. So we climbers get into this position. All right, let's make it just a little steeper, a little more resistance. Now, let's close our eyes. Deep breaths from a relaxed diaphragm. Feeling that body warm up, right? So this will be a 2-song climb, but we're going to take a little break at the end of this song. Kind of spin the legs out for a second. Maybe grab some water, and then we're going to move right back into a hill. Okay, a little bit of a flat road section. Bring your resistance down. How are you feeling right now? Awake, alive, more ready to work, maybe a little sweaty, heart rate's up. All of this is good. The act of paying attention is what's so good. Okay, you ready to come back into a hill? This time we'll come out of the saddle a couple times, maybe 3 times. Who knows? We'll see how we feel. So back into your hill. Feel the glutes kick in. Let the upper body remain relaxed as you drive that torque through your hips. All right, let's get ready to stand for our first time, shall we? Take a deep breath. Let's set our intention to add heavy resistance and ease out onto the pedals, keeping our hands light. In 2, 1. Crank that resistance, hold your rhythm, rise into it. Now come down to seated climb. Stay in your hill. Whew. If you did what I just did, you're out of breath. That's what we do. Extra heavy, hard to do, couldn't hold it more than a minute. That's our standing. We're gonna go again. In 2, 1. Crank that, hold your rhythm, ease on out. This time pay attention to your hands. How heavy are they on the bars? Keep breathing. 2, 1. Bring it back to seated climbing. And back to flat road. Good. Nice. So just for fun, I want you to keep your resistance really light. And let's accelerate up to 110 RPM with really light resistance. And use this as an opportunity to practice stitching together that circle without bouncing or twisting or torquing, okay? Light resistance, high pedal speed. In 2 and 1. Go ahead. This is as fast as we'll ever pedal a Revo cycle. And on a freewheel bike, this is very difficult to stitch this together smoothly. So if you're riding one of our bikes, you know what I'm talking about. Notice how the hips want to bounce. Don't let them. Relax the upper body. And now let's slow the legs. Now, if you couldn't get to 110 without bouncing, that's fine. Stop at the point you start to bounce. If that hurts your legs a lot, take some resistance out, because this isn't about hurting your legs. This is about smoothness and suppleness. It's about being present. You ready to go again? In 2 and 1, accelerate the legs. Now you can watch me. Hopefully I'm showing you a relatively relaxed upper body. My hands are still nice and light. I'm just almost there. Now see if you can close your eyes and hear and feel that rhythm in your mind and in your legs. All right, in 2 and 1. Go ahead and slow your legs down. We're still at light resistance, so this should be nice and easy. Just like we're back in a parking lot. You can sit up for a second. Go ahead and shake it out. The sun has gone away. Back to clouds again. How are we feeling this morning? It's so important to check in to see how we're feeling. I want you to know something. The vast majority of humans in this country right now have not taken this time to take care of their mental and physical health. You've already made that decision. You're here. So that's already something to be proud of. And I'm grateful you're here, because I don't know if I would have done this by myself. So we're in this together, right? Okay, adding a little resistance. Let's bring our leg speed up as if we're moving along a flat road with some seriousness. And by that I mean we're in exercise mode. And therefore it's a little uncomfortable. You saw I just adjusted down a little bit. I had too much. I was in really heavy zone. This is Alright, I'm on a flat road. Moving along pretty well. So now let's close our eyes. Take a couple deep breaths. And let's do our very best to just be as present as possible in the movement form. And if you feel your heart rate coming up now, if you feel your breathing picking up now, that's perfect. This is not lounging around. And now discomfort starts to set into the muscles. Notice where you feel it. And now leaving your resistance the same, slow your legs down. Cycling is one of the best ways to practice meditation. It's rhythmic, it's powerful. It engages many different muscle groups. When we align to the rhythm of the music we're hearing, it becomes a mind-body practice. I love it. Okay, so now we're going to add resistance. Find the rhythm that's emerging from this song. You know what I mean, right? It didn't seem present before, but it's slowly emerging. So make this a hill, and this time I want it to be a nice, steep hill, one that causes us to wonder. Imagine it's about 2 to 3 blocks long, and we wonder if we can actually make it to the top. That's the kind of challenge I'm looking for right now. And now, forgetting what I said about the top, all we're going to worry about is the next 5 feet. One pedal stroke at a time. Let's make it steeper. Revo cyclers, I want you at a 5 on our scale of resistance. If you're not familiar with our scale of resistance, 5 is as heavy as you can hold in the seated position at this rhythm. So yes, super uncomfortable. And I'll assure you that we will not stay here more than another 10 seconds or so. Then we'll add more, holding our rhythm and rise into it. Okay, take a deep breath before we rise up. In 3, 2, 1. Add the resistance, hold your rhythm, ease on into it. Check with the weight on your hands. Let's make sure the weight is going into the pedals We're feeling that transfer through the glutes as we shift side to side. If you're falling to the bottom as you step onto the pedal, then you have too little resistance, add some more. Now coming back. Stay in your climb, close your eyes and breathe. You might notice I open my jaw wider. And that just allows more air to flow in. One more standing, just a short one. In 2. And 1. Make this the most beautiful yet. Ease on out onto the pedals. And let's finish our hill in the seated position. And now let's bring it back to one resistance, a little bit of active recovery. As I'm sure you can tell, I'm very much out of breath right now. And I'm just pedaling softly and slowly. Light resistance, gathering my breath, celebrating that little bit of a hard section we had, made it through. Looking at the sun again, coming out again. So keeping our resistance light, just turning the legs moderately slowly. Active recovery, we're still working, but just at a low level. It's a good time to check in with our body position. And I talk about this a lot, but right now what comes to mind is the lining up of the neck with the rest of the spine so that they're all in a nice line. I'm not stiff. I'm relaxed. I got my nice 5 foot ahead gaze. My spine is neutral. It's not bent one way or the other. And it's just this beautiful line from my neck down to my sit bones. That's what I'm noticing right now. So coming up, we have some challenges along a flat road. And some are going to be real serious challenges, and some are going to be moderate. Once or twice we'll try to find that edge. And all the time, we'll be paying attention to our thoughts. Are they wandering to the future? Are they going back in time and regretting something from the past? It's so common. The more we notice it, the more we realize we spend a great deal of our lives in the future or the past. And one of my goals for us always is to be here right now. Alright, you can see I'm adding just tiny bits of resistance here and there. As I recover from that hill, I can add a little bit more resistance and still feel comfortable. Alright, step 1. Using light to moderate light resistance, we're going to align our bodies to the rhythm of this song. And I'm going to close my eyes because that helps me really feel the rhythm. Yeah, I got it. If you have a bike computer at home, this is about 84 RPM. Nice flat road speed. Now let's bring in a little resistance so we're at exercise level. It's as if you're out on your bike and you're training. Right? We've moved from casually riding to training zone. You have some intention here to challenge yourself. Your intention might be to get stronger or faster. If you're out riding your bike on the road, our intention here is to bring that up to a level that feels like we're really working now. You might notice I move my hands around a lot. And that's a good thing to do. It's perfectly acceptable. Okay, close your eyes. Bring a tiny bit more resistance in to make that workload a little more difficult. Feel your belly. Is it relaxed so that diaphragm can pull the air in? Oh, I can feel the heart rate coming up. How about you? This is where we really have an opportunity to start learning about ourselves. When we're in that zone, it's challenging and a little uncomfortable. Okay, slow your legs for just a second. Keep your resistance where it is. Come on back to the handlebars. Bring the leg speed back up. This song is just 2 beats faster than our last one. So we've already added a little work just by adding 2 revolutions per minute. So here's what I'd like you to do. When I tell you we're going to add resistance that at this pedal speed we couldn't hold for 1 minute. And we're going to hold it for about 20 seconds Then take that resistance back to where it is right now and stay on a rhythm. You ready? 2, 1. Add it in. Couldn't hold this 1 minute. You might notice I started gritting my teeth a little bit. So I learned to notice that and relax it. Now come back to the resistance you had before. So how'd that feel? What if I said we had to do that 40 more seconds? What do you think? Could you have done it? If the answer is yes, we're going to do it again. You're going to add a little bit more. If the answer is no, you're in the ballpark. In 2 and 1. Add it in. You'll notice, you see that hip drive start to come in? Really feel those hamstrings. In 2 and 1. Let's take our resistance down and slow our legs. Back to active recovery. So as you can see, I'm just pedaling slowly. I'm sitting up tall so that I take the pressure off my diaphragm and I can really pull that air in. If you have a heart rate monitor, you can check it. It should have gotten up to around 80% of your maximum, or maybe a little bit higher. I'm very much out of breath right now. So using your lightest resistance, let's start to slowly bring up our pedal speed. I don't want you to jump up to a fast pedal speed. I want you to slowly come up in your speed, keeping your resistance light until you think you've found this rhythm. I'm going to let you just do that on your own. Keep accelerating until you find it, and once you find it, stay there. Count the rhythm in my head. I like to close my eyes. How's your body doing? Are your shoulders relaxed? How are your hands? How's your belly? Now start to slow your legs. So this will be our final effort of the day. Coming up, you've been riding 40 minutes already. Pretty amazing, right? So I want us to do 2 sprints, 15 seconds each. That's 100 RPM or so with heavy resistance. It's an effort you couldn't hold for 40 seconds. That's what a sprint is. Are you ready? This requires great focus and concentration, so let's get ourselves in the right mindset. Taking a couple breaths. All right, sprint number 1 in 2. And 1. Add heavy resistance, bring your leg speed up, feel those muscles engage. Stay with me just a little bit longer. And slow your legs, reduce your resistance. Good. You'll notice sometimes after a sprint, your heart rate continues going up after you've come into the active recovery. Do you notice that sometimes? Yeah, it takes a little bit for the heart to finish its job of getting all that oxygen to the muscles and the carbon dioxide out. And respond to the cues from the muscles saying, I don't need that much oxygen anymore. You can slow down. Okay, you ready for your final sprint? Let's make this really beautiful. In 2. And 1. Add your resistance, accelerate your legs, keeping your upper body relaxed and calm, driving that pedal stroke from the hips downwards. Staying centered on the saddle, no bouncing. Just stitch it together. And bring your resistance down to light and slow your legs. We're into full cool down mode now. Beautiful work today. There's a Rubik's Cube right in my line of vision. Right below you, right below the camera. It's been sitting there for years. I think I might break that out today. I was never very good at the Rubik's Cube. I think maybe too impatient. There's logic to it. All right, taking more resistance out now. Slowing the legs even more. Noticing how the breath is coming back to normal. Noticing how your legs are starting to feel better. Let's take a little more resistance out now. And let's just sit up nice and tall. And now let's let the legs just slow to a stop. And let's take a couple of really beautiful deep breaths together. Let's inhale and exhale. You feel the belly expand and contract. Let's do that again. Inhale and exhale. That's your diaphragm. Expanding to pull air in, contracting to push air out. Now we can breathe with the chest muscles, those intercostal muscles, but that's stressful breathing, right? Belly breathing is relaxing breathing. All right, come on up with me. 3 and 9 o'clock with our feet. And just drop your heels foot so you feel a nice stretch in the calves. And now let's rotate the back foot to the front. And again, just drop your heels to feel a nice stretch in the calves. I'm watching a guy out there taking pictures off his deck. There's some graffiti that was painted last night on the wall down there. He's taking pictures of it to report it, I'm sure. It's kind of interesting sitting in this position watching the outside world. All right, let's swing our legs off the bike. And as always, I'd like for you to stretch your quads and your hamstrings on your own. When you stretch your quads, you can choose to pull back on your ankles. That's a great way to stretch your quadricep. And if you want to stretch your hamstrings, use the handlebars or the seat or the top bar of your bike. Thanks you guys for being here today. It was great to ride with you. I needed it very much. I'll leave the music playing here for a couple minutes so you can stretch. Okay.